days of old, in the days of gold, in the days of 49. And now I'm old Tom Moore from the bummer show. In the old golden days.
There. So we're gonna start this as a recording. How close do we have to be in it? I guess very close. All right, succeed.
Which is going to be really awesome when it does. It's going to happen, guys.
Yeah, we've had a good week, and we kind of like wanted to invite anybody to come and talk to us about any questions that you have about the game itself, about our Kickstarter, anything that you might want to know. That hopefully we can answer some good questions. And we're going to record it here as well, and then we'll be able to put that up. So if you missed it, it can go up later. Or if you ask a question or you want to rewatch it or anything. And we have it set up so we can check Twitter as well. And I guess I'll be jumping back and forth between things. So we go checking that. Oh, we got retweeted a bunch on that, so that's good.
Twitter's fun.
Shout out to Daniel Norman.
Yeah, we love you, man.
Yeah,
You've been so supportive. It's been awesome. Thanks so much.
On Facebook and Twitter and all across. That's been really helpful. Yeah, we'll leave it on this. Semke can't see anything. That's not good. Let's see why. What's up, Matt? Good to see you. It's my friend from college. You can hear us, but you can't see us. That's weird.
That might be a good thing. We might sound cooler than we look.
That's true. I'm gonna try to reset the video.
Will does have green hair right now, though. That is pretty cool. Can't really see it on the camera, though.
Yeah, it doesn't look that green. How about now, Matt? Does it look any better? Or does it pop up at all? We got 3 viewers now. So anybody else that's on this, watching the stream, let us know if you can see us. Matt can't see us.
We look like we're in 2 different rooms because it's like what?
we're streaming from 2 different parts of the country, just very, very close by. It's cool that we got. Thanks for commenting on here, Matt, because it's like this is all like a test in a way to see how this works as it pops up.
I've never been on live TV before. Only recordings and stuff like that. It's very nerve-wracking. I don't know how you do it all the time.
I'll ask you questions.
Ask me. Ask you. Help. Ask me. Ask you questions. So I've got a question for you.
Okay, what's the question?
Can you do you remember the day that you came up with this all those years ago? Can you explain like where the Inspirato kind of came from there?
Yeah, I don't remember like the specific day per se, but like I had been playing Pokemon when it first came out, like the card game. Oh, and he's also can't see us on the. Do you guys want? I'm gonna stop it real quick and just restart it just to see if we can get the. Actually, I don't know what the. I'll stop it and just see if I can get the image to pop up. So it's still recording. But yeah, so I was playing. I was literally playing Pokemon, the card game, and then I was like, oh, it'd be awesome if there was a robot game like this, some kind of like anime thing, and I went out looking for it, and when I found that there wasn't one, or the game that I did find was terrible, I just didn't enjoy how it played, and it kind of in my head I was thinking it would be a different game, and so then as I was explaining what I thought the game was going to be like and how it really actually was, I decided like that was basically where the game I thought existed didn't exist, so that was kind of how I created it by just assuming that it existed.
Yeah, that's That's the best way to invent things. I feel like there's two ways to invent things. You can either solve a problem that you have, or you can steal it from somebody else and make it better. That's what Thomas Edison would do, you know. And I don't really agree with that, but the solving the problem thing is really the best way to come up with an idea.
Yeah,
So
it was kind of so it's kind of like an accident invention, really, because
yeah, the most awesome accident invention ever. And then I mean, me stumbling onto it was also definitely an accident too. I don't know how much you guys have seen our our video and heard about what we or how we kind of came together on the project. But one of our friends who is 9 years old at the time, I think he's like 10 now, I think. But he was just being antsy and wanting to play a game, and he pulled it out and made up a bunch of crazy rules. And I mean, the first time he played against me, he made up all these rules so that he could win, basically.
yeah,
And it didn't make any sense at all, but I thought it looked pretty cool. And then me and Will actually sat down and started playing games. And at first they were like 3 hour long games and 4 hour long games. We'd spend the entire night playing these like epic matches, kind of like Wild West style.
yeah, because
Um,
none of the rules worked at all. So like, or the rules were like so crazy.
it was ridiculous. I remember I most of you probably don't know what Yahtzee Bazooka is, but it's a shoulder armor that you get to attack with after your regular attack, and it does infinite damage if you roll Yahtzee on 3 rolls. And I basically was able to beat Will on doing infinite damage with the Yahtzee Bazooka, even though he was holding his entire deck in his hand. Because I think that was probably like his dream back in the day when he was playing Magic, is to just be able to not worry about drawing and just hold his entire Magic deck in his hands and just play it at will.
Well, that was like I was trying having created the rules. I was also like trying to like figure out what the best strategy was, and I was thinking, well, the best strategy is really just to have all your cards in your hand. And that's that didn't last very long because we realized like that is not good for a game. Um, so,
We have
well,
frozen visual.
well, I hope it catches up. The
Maybe
visual.
what if we just make our quality a little bit lower?
Oh
Like
yeah, let's do that. So we're gonna put let's do it on and
it makes me a little bit you know
off again. Grainier, but
grainy is fine. I
yeah, we could be
we
grainy.
look more like robots.
So thanks for being in here. I'm Carno-chan. Carno-chan.
I'm Carno Chan. I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks
Sounds
for
good.
coming, man. Or woman. Um, so yeah, we were just talking about how we were, how we were like taking advantage of all the original rules and um, just kind of being competitive assholes, basically to try to um, win. And that's really how the game started to develop. Is that we both just wanted to compete against each other so much, and we wanted to beat each other so bad that we would just take advantage of any little thing we could. And at the end of the game, we'd be like, okay, that's ridiculous that you beat me like that, and we would change it. And it was really fun to do that, just because, um, I mean, pretty much every single suggestion that both of us made to each other were just like, okay, let's try this out, and if it works out, then it works out, and if it doesn't work out, then we can always go back. So it was the entire time it was just very very progressive. I don't think we got into one argument over any of the cards or anything like that. Which I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know why you would, but I'm sure people do get into arguments over stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always like even if we had like a personal connection to a certain card and how it was, like we were both really open to, well, we'll try it in a different way because what does it hurt to try? And
Yeah,
I think almost always when we'd be trying to push a card in a certain direction, it seemed to almost always be better. I mean, sometimes we came back like, no, let's go back to how it was, but I mean, I think being free with the cards and making sure that we were like trying to make the game as good as it can be and even and just not to have any of the cards be like better than it makes sense for them to
Yeah,
be.
and we did keep some overpowered cards in it just because it is fun. But we just made sure to create counter cards and stuff that would be able to serve as an answer. So I mean, I know what my favorite part of the game is. Do you have a do you have an answer for what you think that your favorite part of the of just the gameplay is?
Yeah, I think I have two favorite parts. Like I love drafting. I like right in the middle of the draft after you've gotten a couple things and you're still like before you've developed your strategy, but you like have like 10 strategies open, you're like, okay, these are the strategies I'm kind of looking for. I love that part, and once you're picking up cards, like trying to decide. I also hate that part. That's like I think the most
It is very
nerve-wracking
it's the
part.
most stressful, yeah.
Yeah, it's very stressful, but that's my favorite part. And then my other favorite part is when I have, and this is I think I'm this is where I'm horrible at the game. Actually, this is where my like I crumble when I have too many options in my hand. Where I'm like, okay, I could do like 8 things right now, and I don't know what is the best thing to do. And I love that about the game because it's like you can go all these different directions. And I think I always pick like the third best option, but
Yeah.
but I like the fact that even as many times as I've played it, it's not clear which is the best option.
Hmm.
And I just love that there's that many things that could happen. And then like 2 turns later, I'm like, man, if I would only plan for that to happen, it would have been better.
Yeah, I think that the draft is a great thing to bring up for people logging on to kind of understand the game. I think that that's a really amazing part of the game from somebody who would have probably played Magic as a young kid, but just didn't have the money to do it. Um, this game we've got 100 cards or 113 cards, including the starter pilots and the base robots. But just the amount of combinations that you can make through the drafting process has made it so we're still coming up with new strategies after playing this game like 1,000 times. Whereas as a poor kid growing up, I never would have been able to afford, let alone I mean just one magic deck, which would have kind of made my strategy the same over
Every
and over
time.
again to play that game, which would have been fun for me. But just I couldn't invest $1,000 in a game. I mean, I know some people invest $5,000, $10,000 probably, right,
Mm-hmm.
in Magic cards. And our game, because of the way the drafting is set up and how you can constantly pick and choose different strategies with the cards that are in the game, you can get the $30 game, and the replayability is that's one of my favorite parts of the game. I mean, I'm still very addicted to it after playing it for this pretty much this entire year. I want to play it right now. Um, I was hoping that we could maybe be playing it while we were doing this video, actually. But my favorite part of the game is actually I like setting like the trap kind of and letting yourself get down to that last limb. The other person's like feeling really good, like they're gonna beat you, but in the in the back of your mind, you know that you have all the cards that you need to make the comeback. You just need to you just need to survive long enough to let the momentum shift, and then just bring the thunder. Like
That's how you beat me last game.
yeah.
It's Shiro setting up. That's still frustrated me a lot because I had answers to your trap, but I didn't ever get to them. And I also fell for the trap before I had time to get out of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is pretty sweet.
Another thing that I like about the game is I mean it's a game of luck and skill, and something that I think is really cool is that it's fairly simple to learn the game. It's basically you blow off your opponent's forward limbs and you win. Um, and it's basic. You're basically building up your robot to increase the probability of rolling high by getting more six-sided dice. But the more you play, the more strategies that you can develop, and it can just get really, really, really intense. And the learning curve is kind of cool because you can learn how to play, but if you want to get good, you definitely put in more time and figure out how to beat individual opponents or just
Yeah, because you can like actually see people's strategies as they play, and it's actually kind of fun to watch what cards different people value. And I think, I mean, as far as me being somebody that's played many games, I've probably played 500 games in my life. Like, there's very few games that I feel that has this many variations on strategy. Like, literally every single person that plays this game, I feel, has a totally different set of which cards are good and why. And I think they draft them totally differently. And so the more you know your opponent and like what they might be going for, the more like the better strategy you can build. Like you can actually have a strategy specifically designed against another player, and then
Yeah.
you could have a strategy that's specifically designed against the fact that they picked up one specific card. And so it's like you're constantly changing all that kind of stuff, and it's just really interesting the different ways that everything can play out and how it seems to constantly change too. And I think I don't know if that's very like a unique thing with such a I mean 100 cards is not super small set of cards, but to have that much variety within that set of cards is really I think unique and rare.
Mhm.
The other cool thing, so you asked the question about one of my favorite things about the game. I also have like a favorite thing about the game as the game as a product. And I guess I'd ask you that, like, if you said like this is a product on a shelf, like what, knowing obviously what you know about the game, like what would you say is your favorite thing about the game as far as a product?
Me? Or you're asking the people on the
I'm
TV?
asking you.
Okay. My favorite thing is about the game as a product is, I mean, is the reason why I got into the game. I saw Will's art. This would be a good time to plug your website.
This is my name, which is williamhessian.com.
But yeah, Will's art is absolutely amazing. I own some of his art, and I did before we got into the game. And just looking at the game when I saw it in its very very raw form over a year ago, um, and seeing how the pilots actually slide into the base robot, and it creates this like really visually stunning thing of a little guy or girl inside of a robot instead of just a robot fighting. It just personalizes it, and that adds another variant to the game because there's like 15 different pilots in the game, and the robot can always look different with different pilots in it. And then the way that the armor actually attaches on, instead of just playing a card down and around your robot to make it better, the cards play onto the robot to actually make the robot grow. So as the robot is getting better and more powerful, you can actually see it visually on the robot. And I think that, I mean, even if you don't like games, um, if you like comic books or anything with that type of art, I think that it's just it's a fun little choose your own adventure type of puzzle thing, you know.
Yeah, if you played it less competitively and actually just played it kind of more socially, I feel like the game could just be a story. It could just be a story, if that's like more your style. Like if you just like laid out the cards and kind of let them like play them out how you'd want to tell a story, and it works that way too. Um,
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even thought about this, but I could totally see it being it could be a party game where you play down a character in like a base armor and you have to like come up with stories of like how the character in that armor um, relate to each other because there's a lot of personality in the characters and the crew members and the pilots and even the armor. They definitely have come from somewhere. We don't know all the places yet, but we've developed a pretty cool story around it.
yeah, and
So
the cool thing is that when you're actually spectating, that's actually another good point. The game, it's actually a fun game to spectate, which is kind of odd for board games. Not a lot of people just like stand around like to watch the board game, but this game is actually kind of fun to watch, and it's actually almost, at least for me, it's almost sometimes more fun to watch because you're actually getting to see the story building. Whereas the people that are playing it are so caught up trying to
yeah,
win the game, you forget like how cool it is that this character came out and then he came out again and messed this up, and it's like there's this cool relationships between all these characters that makes it seem like a TV show or something if you're like paying attention to that stuff. As far as like my my favorite thing about the game as a product is just that it is appealing to like so many different levels because we have so many different ways that the game can be played, and we have so many ways to play the game that we've only like barely tested on because it's I mean, we already know how the game works really well, but there's all these variants that you could try out just to make the game different and change up like at the beginning of the game and stuff. And it's just all those things and different ways that you can try out the game and give yourself new challenges and stuff is something that I think is just really appealing. And it also the thing of it is um, the, the game itself. Oh, good question here. We're gonna answer that one next. Um,
Ooh,
Good question. Yeah.
I'm gonna be playing him later tonight, so.
so I just like the fact that there's a easy version of the game that's kind of more of like a matching game that actually teaches you the mechanics, and then there's like versions of the game where you don't have to do the draft. So if you're like not into that kind of strategizing, there's like an easier way to do that. And then if you like the draft, you can have it really intense. Then you can ramp up the intensity and do like 3 pilot drafts where you're having to like think about 3 games down the road, and then you can do things like League where you're not just planning out one deck at a time. You're planning out like how are you going to win like a whole bunch of games in a row based on one thing, or tournament style and stuff like that. So it can ramp up on so many levels, and I guarantee that as other people play it, they're going to come up with really neat ways for the game to be played that haven't even thought of yet. And the game is like built to be versatile. It can be like so many things.
So
Hey, what's up, Matt? Welcome back.
do you want to go first, or do I want to go first? Because depending on if you go first or if I go first, I think that our responses are going to be different.
That's true. Well, I just talked, so why don't you answer?
Okay, all
Okay,
right.
so the question is, can you share some details of personal strategy? Which this is going to be very interesting.
So when I'm drafting, I start with 2 different strategies in mind, depending on which pilot I have. Um, I either want to have a very small deck that I can get through very quickly to get to the cards that are going to help me most, or I want to build what I call a hoarder deck, where I kind of just keep him or keep Will or keep my opponent away from the cards that they like to play the most, and just try to break up the different combinations of cards that I know are good and could beat me. So depending on who you're playing in the draft, you can kind of craft your drafting strategy around how you know they're going to play. Um, so that's how I start. Um, I think personally, one of the most important in-game strategies is to just make sure that you keep a pretty even card count against your opponent. Every card that you have in hand not only can be played down as with their primary function as like a crew member, an expert pilot, an armor, or a hanger. But it also counts as an extra 6-sided dice roll that you can discard during attack and defense to add another dice roll to either defend or try to blow off one of your opponent's armor. So I think that definitely having cards in hand and having characters and armor and actions that allow you to draw cards and keep your card count up is definitely a really important strategy. Um, After that, um, it's really how your deck lines up. I mean, I think if you can get a really good expert pilot in by building up the armor on your robot, I think that that's the easiest way to win. Otherwise, you gotta build the armor up and just get the right combination of crew members because certain crew members work really well with each other and can team up and make things better. For example, the combo of Kringus, the synthesizer, and Vernon is just a classic simple strategy. So Vernon is a really powerful crew member um, in the sense that he makes all your sixes worth 10. So you can imagine the amount of damage that you'd be able to do if all of the sixes you roll actually counted as 10. But the issue with him is that if you roll a 1, then he discards from your crew and he just goes away forever. But Coringus instantly turns all the ones that you roll with dice into threes. So it makes it so that not only do all your ones turn into threes, but Vernon can never be discarded, and all your sixes will be tens until your opponent deals with it. So I mean, crew combinations, hoarding cards, and I mean just either building a big or a small deck are some of the strategies I use.
Yeah, like for me, if I'm not playing person specific, so if I'm not just trying to, like be like, okay, I'm gonna try to stop this person from doing their typical strategy, then and even when I'm doing that, I like to make sure like I'm always looking for like level 2 hangers because they give boosts. And it's really important for me to have 3 spaces usually for crew. Um, and I'm always looking for, so that's one thing I'm always looking for as a personal strategy. I'm always looking for some way to actually like finish the game, which would include like a level 3 armor that's really powerful that I can get up to, or something that draws me just a ton of cards, whether it's like a Maxine Trinidad level 3 crew or some like mechanic that will allow me like doing a Terrasin thing, or if my pilot can let me do some kind of a special thing, I can take advantage of that by drawing extra cards. I try to come up with some way that I'm going to gain some major advantage at in the end of the game. And the other thing that I always like to do is make sure that I'm not going to get stuck in some kind of a trap. So, like for instance, earlier that Silas was talking about the last game that we played. He had the Shiro thing where he had the best pilot come out, and he kind of tricked me into knocking off his second to last limb, and then he puts in this big pilot that can only come out when you have 3 limbs with a combo. So he did that combo, and then I was kind of stuck where I couldn't come back, even though I did have answers in my deck, because I did plan for that in the draft phase, but I was too aggressive right in the middle of the game when I should have been more patient so that I had an answer to that card once it came out, because then I was pretty much screwed. But I do think about that a lot in draft. I just don't always set myself up perfectly because timing is so important in the game,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm gonna say. Like closing, like you mind if I just jump in?
Go ahead.
Just timing is the most important part of the strategy, I think, because there's always a tipping point during the game where you're like, okay, if I go all out with my attack here, then I could probably win the game, or if I go all out with my attack here and I don't get it, then I'm probably going to lose the game. So you have to judge when you have your advantage and you can get that win. And if you miss that one opportunity, you end up losing. It's really
Yeah, it's so
funny like
true.
that.
Yeah, that's frustrating. But it's also like it's pretty cool when you know you lost and you're like, oh dang, I lost, but you're like, I had that time, that was my moment, and I missed it.
Yeah,
And you usually know it, or you might even have multiple spots where you're just like, dang, why didn't I?
yeah. That's where the game is kind of like baseball to me because I feel like it always builds to a certain point, and then for baseball fans, if you get like bases loaded and you don't get a hit and you get out, you kind of lose all that build potential. So
Semke's a baseball fan. He works for the Twins.
oh, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He does their graphic design.
nice.
Yeah. Oh, and so Semke also asked, how many copies of the game are you going to make when you get funded? So, we make 5,000 games. It's like, it's their, um, that's the least amount of games we can make at that price break to make it worth. That's why we have the goal of 2,000, is because that's what will get us the most amount of games at the least amount of cost. Um, so that's how many we will get when we succeed, which hopefully will be soon. Trying to think other questions. Oh, well, just some simple questions like components, because sometimes people have asked us like, what are you going to get in the box if you were to donate? So if you donated the 35 or the 25, I think it's 25 now for the early birds and 30, you're going to get a box that's going to look similar to grab one. Similar to this. This is a pretty good idea. This is a kind of a prototype box that we have. We only have 4 in existence. Looks like that. You're going to get some custom dice which we just finally we haven't actually fully announced yet, but because we don't have good pictures of them, but we're gonna have some custom PBL robot dice. It's gonna be metallic. I don't even know if I've told you that we're getting those for sure.
Okay, not even a stretch goal anymore.
No, we're just doing it.
Nice.
Because it's like not even. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive, but for us, but we have like the room for it. So we're gonna have you can get a 20-sided die. You're gonna get a bunch like these will be custom ones, so they'll be a more metallic style, and they're also gonna be red and blue dots, so that you'll know which ones you're attacking or defending with. And there's gonna be some mini dice, which I'm sure based on quality you're not gonna be able to see any of this stuff. Then you're gonna get your 110 robot cards, which are all completely different, with all the armor, the actions, the crew, things like that, which you can check out. And you can get 3 of the base robots, and you'll see they have a hole in it, for your pilots. You get 3 of those, and then you're going to get, here's your pilots. They slide right in as your starter pilots. I don't know if you can see that, but he's sitting in there. There's red sitting in there now. So you get 10 starting pilots, and those starting pilots are the ones that change the game every time you play. So it's kind of that can change, makes the variety of play like really, really good.
I want to reiterate no doubles, which for anybody who just collected cards because cards are cool. I mean, everybody hates getting doubles, especially in the same box, and that always happens. That's so stupid.
Well, that's actually one thing about Magic too. How you can have 4 copies of a card, so you can have like this really expensive card that you have to have 4 copies of because you have to maximize it. It's like this game really, like there is only one Shiro, or there's only one Soda Fats. You're not going to see, your opponent playing Soda Fats, and then you're playing Soda Fats, and then I'm going to play a second Soda Fats. It's like these characters all live within this reality of there only being one of each of them.
Yeah.
That's important for our game, for how it works, is that they're all in this futuristic sport, but they're all one-ofs. They're all real people kind of
Yeah, I
in
mean
the world.
that's something that we haven't even talked about yet. Is the idea of what the universe is. I mean,
Yeah, let me just finish. So, like, the last thing I just wanted to say is the box is going to have like it doesn't have it yet because we haven't made it, or it hasn't been produced yet, but there's going to be like a nice tray here, so everything is going to fit in all beautifully. And there's going to be a rule book that's going to be awesome. And there's going to be a control panel that's going to sit over the top, that you can use that's going to be like a guide for when you're playing. And I think that's.
Robot Hole is the name of the new punk band I need to form.
Robot Hole sounds awesome. Yeah, so that's kind of like a sample of what you'll get, if you back us. And if you backed us for a few dollars more, you would be getting the original PBL Robots fiction that Silas is writing. And it's going to be, that's kind of what we can talk about now, is kind of like jump into this fiction, this world, this whole like universe that we've created. We can kind of jump into, what is PBL Robots?
Yeah, I mean, and that was as fun as making the game for me, because Will had all these characters already set up in the game, and they all, like, some of them didn't even have pictures yet when we started playing. They just had names. But as we played, it was really cool because we were kind of writing the story while we were playing the game, because of the way that the different characters acted, and the way that their powers were. We could actually figure out like why they are the way they are and why they do the job that they do. So the idea of the universe is that PBL Robots is a stadium sport in the in the unspecified future. We haven't really decided what year it takes place in, but it takes place in a future, or I guess that is a kind of a satire of the way that corporations are taking over the world right now. Basically, six companies own the entire world, and they each have a 100-foot robot team that competes maybe every week, kind of like the NFL. And I mean, once you have 100-foot robots, with people who are playing in them and like blowing each other up, I'm pretty sure the NFL and like the NHL and Major League Baseball would probably, people wouldn't think that that is exciting anymore if this was that was something that was happening on a regular basis. But I mean, as you can imagine, the amount of money that you would have to do to build these things would be ridiculous, which is why I mean, 6 corporations own the world, so they do have that money. They have all the money.
They can do whatever they want.
All the money they would ever want.
And I want to jump in and talk about like where the robots came from, and kind of like the concept behind all that is basically as these 6 corporations were spreading out and building these space empires, essentially like these giant space empires of like basically Death Stars. They're building their own Death Stars in the sky, and each one, like, to build them, they needed these giant construction robots. So these 100-foot robots doing all this construction. Well, they built all 6 of them, and they had all these leftover robots. They don't need to build anything else. They're like kind of maxed out what they can build. So like, and you have all these engineers and these people that are driving around that are really good at using this equipment. And you're like, well, what are we gonna do with it? It's like they don't know even what to do with it. So it kind of just came up that like, why don't we just turn that into a sport, be able to use up these robots and take advantage of the skills of all these people that are, like can run these robots extremely well
and make more money
and make tons of money. Let's just put logos on them and we'll make them these giant robots that battle each other and make a huge sport out of it. And so that's like fireworks in the sky.
So I mean, a cool part of it too is that we're far enough into the future, and it's a sport where knowledge is more important than actual athletic skills. So all the athletes that are in PBL robots are athletes because they are engineers at the top of their field, or they just have the preemptive awareness to be a pilot, or they're really good at managing people, or they just are good artists with metal work and stuff like that. The people who are the athletes are a lot different than you would imagine athletes. They're kind of, you know, nerdy athletes.
Yeah.
And
Sigma nerds.
Also, I mean, a cool part of it is that um, the that I mean, racism is way far gone in this in our future reality, and girls are participating in the sport as much as guys, and are actually some of the top players. It's beyond the point where they're just breaking into the sport, where they're actually, for example, one of our characters, Maxine Trinidad, is the only character that is both a crew member and a pilot, just because she is an absolute rock star.
And she can actually be on an opponent's. She could be a crew member on an opponent's team and a pilot in the other team, and she's like that skilled that she can actually like run crew on one side while she's piloting another robot.
But yeah, I mean, discrimination still does exist. Tormax, one of our characters, is actually the first animal to participate in a professional sport, and he is kind of, discriminated against by the old school people that
He's
think
kind of
that,
like a mutant or something.
yeah,
super. I don't know what.
and the thing that really pisses people off is that he's actually starting to splice um, DNA from animals into the metal, so that the metal can actually think, and has, the animal instincts that can make it better. And there's a couple of armors that you can see in the game that are definitely Tormax creations that kind of have a mind of their own. Um, and we also have a character who is actually a robot, and there's a lot of controversy behind a robot um, playing on a robot team and actually operating robots. There's some conspiracy there. Um, Another interesting thing with the story is that there is a curse that surrounds the sport. I mean, we don't even really know where the curse comes from. I'm actually doing some research right now to figure out where it comes from. I think it comes from ancient Egypt, and it's it's just always present, and it basically keeps you from drawing cards a lot of times, But we also have some folklore in there from ancient Egypt with the Eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye, and that's definitely related. There's some conspiracies that PBL Robots owners are starting to fix the matches, just because it's better for the spectators. There's conspiracies that they're pumping oxygen into the stadium to just make people not question what they're seeing. There's conspiracies that the owners are actually drugging the kids that participate in the sport so that they can um, go into their prime, like their 25 to 30-year-old self, and tap into that energy. So there's I mean that and all that stuff is inspired by like the steroid era of baseball and you know just you know wondering, just questioning the people that are in power in our own world, and reflecting that into the game, and just kind of creating this satirical universe where we can do a social commentary in a fun way, you know.
And then that's the other kind of thing is like then when you're taking control of a robot, do you become like one of the villains? Are you one of the like these mega corporation owners when you're playing? And so that's kind of like you get to take their place, but it's kind of like offering players the chance to be them, but then at the same time also question what's going on in the game and kind of like uncover the mysteries and be like maybe this kind of thing shouldn't be happening.
Yeah,
It's kind of like unraveling the mysteries, which I think is kind of like cool about the.
yeah. I mean, which is something that we all need to be questioning ourselves and what we're buying into. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a main theme in the storytelling of the game, is to just think about everything that you do, and question everything that's around you. That's just healthy, you know.
Yeah, get too caught up in everything.
So more story to come. But yeah, we're writing like a more developed story, with actual characters that isn't just a synopsis of strange thoughts, and that will come with the game. If you get it, is it the $35 level?
Yep.
Yeah, $35 level, and any level above that, you'll get the PBL robots fiction. And we plan to do character profiles, and it's definitely, if people are interested and they like see the characters and they want to develop their own backstories. We're A lot of the backstories are still being formed, and I think it's fun to include everybody in the storytelling, because all these characters have you know infinite backstories like we all do, and
Well, and the game itself tells us stories more so than we're even come up with it. I feel like
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
play games and be like, well, this character really seems like they do this or that, and it's like, oh, that would make sense because they're supposed to be related to this person or however it goes, and it just kind of like everything seems to fall into place. So it's like people recognizing different things or calling stuff out. It's just kind of really it's cool how the cards kind of tell you stories and grow that way. Are the foil cards going to be super shiny? Well, I hope so. Our printers have only one like type of foil card, so it's like um, it's cool looking. The from what I could tell, but I haven't seen them yet, so I'm hoping that they're really really awesome. But they have like one really special mode of printing where they can make these cool foil cards. In the future, we'd love to explore more options with that. Our printers they admittedly are a little bit limited, which they could outsource some of it to make even crazier foil cards. So we'll see how these ones turn out, but we're pretty excited because I think these expert pilots are going to look awesome. Um,
yeah. Who doesn't like shiny things?
yeah,
I mean, that's animal instinct right there.
yeah, I'm a big time foil card lover of all kinds. I like shiny cards.
I didn't even know when Pokemon came out. I didn't even know it was a game. I just thought that the whole goal was to get all the shiny ones.
Yeah, so hopefully, and we have like all these really cool plans for down the road. Obviously, like dreaming big of different things, but like the base robots, we really want them to look really awesome. Have them be super foily and shiny too, because like they're cards that you use every game, and they don't get shuffled, so they shouldn't be getting scratched up and stuff like that. So we really like to make those even a better quality down the road. Where
Maybe even metal.
yeah, we
If
were
we can
thinking
get the funding.
yeah, we were thinking of you making them actual metal. That'd be really cool. Even engraved metal or I don't know what, but something like that would be really fun down the road because it would be. I just think it would be awesome. Um,
And also, we hope to. I mean, the base robots are all come from a different energy source,
hmm
which might be which is definitely part of the story with the six corporations. We think that they all use a different type of energy, because energy is the biggest business there is. And right now we have the obsidian robot, which is like the energy from the earth crystal, like kind of sucking in all the energy from the air, and we have the solar, which is pretty self-explanatory.
And if you donate to the Kickstarter, you get a special gold robot, which is a gold energy.
Gold.
Gold. Everyone loves gold.
Also, we really like to use that one as the championship robot.
Yeah, that's often what we suggest is the champion player. Yeah, so one strategy that we didn't talk about is blinding your opponent with foil cards, um, which that may or may not work. We haven't tried it actually. Good idea though.
Will does do a lot of weird strategies like that though. He like will say that he's doing something to like play mind games. You can definitely like bluff and like mess with your opponent. Abbott, for example, who is the current champion, she just will sing these ridiculous repeating songs that just go on and on and on until the point where you can't concentrate. So I'd say that the use of foil cards for blinding would be totally in there. I think we're kind of in the realm of like basketball where we can, you know,
Do you know that?
psych out.
Do you know that I don't know if you've ever noticed me, but like, so some of the cards, some of the armor cards you have to hold are sideways. You hold them sideways to see the card. You know, that's because they're oriented differently for vertical or horizontal. So sometimes if I'm trying to like fool my opponent, when I draw a card, I'll turn it sideways, even though it's not a horizontal card, so that they'll be like, oh, he's got an armor. You know, he's got an armor because that's like what that would be.
Hmm.
So I love doing that because or when an opponent does that, they pick up a card and then they turn it sideways. I know, oh, it's an armor, or it's
Yeah,
some there's like 5 cards that are sideways, so it's like
definitely a big part of strategy.
yeah,
The mind game and yeah.
yeah. And sometimes that messes me up though because then I'm like off trying to figure that out and I'm not even paying attention to the stuff that should be like really obvious in front of me. If you say it will work, I need to upgrade.
I mean, upgrades are the
You
name
should
of the game.
upgrade. You should definitely upgrade.
Level 3.
Keep upgrading.
So, Will, what's your favorite level 3? So, I mean, in the game we have level 1, level 2, and level 3 armors. The level 3s are generally the strongest. Um, what's your favorite? What's your favorite? You know, to
Yeah,
win the game with.
I mean, if I have, like I say, I love blood and gut situations. It's very rare that it actually. That's probably like, it's an awesome one, but it doesn't actually come into play as being good very often because you have to build so many other things around it. So it's
Except for in the gameplay video.
yeah, except for in the gameplay video when I actually got it off and I got to roll like 11 or 12 dice on it. That was sweet. But like I think Stigmata Boots is the one that like I always am so excited when I see that in a draft. I'm just like, yes, Stigmata Boots.
Yeah.
And that one I think is really sweet, especially because the feet are like the last thing to be attacked usually. So I like that one a lot. But I the most satisfying way to win for me is Blood and Guts because it's like it's just like a beating over the head.
Yeah.
How about yours?
My favorite is probably it's Blood and Guts, just because that I mean that one was kind of inspired by my mom's painting that she
Yeah.
made for my grandpa, and that was that was the last level 3 that we came up with, and we came up for it with it like like collaboratively like 50-50, and that was like a really fun day.
Yeah, and actually, it even is inspired like one of probably the first expansion that we'll do down the road. Just by the one card inspired that whole expansion,
Yeah.
which is something we haven't talked much about. Is like what kind of comes after the Kickstarter succeeds, and obviously, like as we try to get the game out to as many people as possible, we're also going to be developing like 5 expansions. And some of the comments on Board Game Geek have us like kind of developing. We haven't started developing it yet, but thinking along the lines of having a one-player mode as well. So we'll probably work on both of those things. And we're also meeting with a couple people this month about an app that we might be able to make, a mobile app or an online way to play the game, which probably is pretty far down the road, but it's still something cool that we'll be working on. So there's all of those cool things that are coming up, and we really want to make the game in multiple languages, so we're gonna work on that as well. And as far as the expansions, it'd be fun to like just even mention them because it gives you some idea of what's in the regular set too. Because like the regular set has like bits and pieces of all kinds of stuff, but in the expansions you've got Tormax has his own expansion. The guy
So
he's genetically manipulating all kinds of cards.
yeah, so like it's animals DNA spliced into robots expansion.
Yep, and that one's gonna be really exciting because you're gonna be getting to do all kinds of bizarre things. You're even gonna be able to manipulate the draft and stuff. It's gonna have all kinds of like goofy cards that are really cool. Gonna be cool once we get to that part. And then there's also a military expansion that does a lot of things with hangars and building up storage bombs, and you're collecting dice on a lot of different cards. Like some cards you put down, like there's gonna be a card that you put down and you actually roll 8 dice and put them all on there, and you get to use. That's how you use your attack or defense, which is really powerful to start, but then they would disappear as you play. So it's really strong to begin, and then it goes away. And there's also going to be an expansion for the rise or the Revenge of Alvedon, which is a whole backstory of this kind of like resurrection of a city that has been destroyed by PBL robots, and that kind of gets into a lot of the conspiracies and that whole concept.
I mean that's a huge comment on just the gentrification of cities and pushing artists out and just to kind of corporatize cultural centers. I mean, we're actually after this we're going to something to support local music practice space that kind of got squeezed out in that same way for a new stadium to be put in in a college.
Yeah,
So,
it's very similar kind of idea.
Yeah.
We're the rise of the Revenge of Alvedon.
Yeah.
As we're
I am Bethany Lee.
regenerating limbs all across the town. And then oh, and the one cool thing about strategy-wise with that game, with that expansion, the Alvedon one, is that there's all these smoke cards that basically allow you to attack behind like a card, so you can't see it. So it's gonna like add a whole nother level of like strategy into the game because some of the attacks will be hidden and you don't know how many cards to discard and stuff. So once this will make more sense once you've played the game a few times. You'd be like, wow. If you rewatch this Q&A, you'd be like, wow, that would add a whole bizarre level to the game. It'd be difficult to. I mean, it's going to be fun to try out to see how that works. Which we still have to obviously play test all these and make sure that they're good. And then the last, that there's 2 more expansions. The one is the Epico expansion.
Code of the Infinite.
Code of the Infinite, yeah. The Epico brothers, they're the ones that have been developing these incredible. There's these kids that have developed these incredible weapons. Luke Epico is the one that you'll see in the game, the current game, but his ideas have been stolen by other engineers throughout for a while, and so here he's like kind of trying to claim his ownership over all these new weapons that he's been like saving all these cool weapons. So that one's gonna be chock full of armors that do all kinds of bizarre things and are really really powerful. That will be really fun to add into the game. And then the final one is the the clone all stars. So basically, if you can imagine,
my favorite.
Yeah, you can imagine the like Major League Baseball like getting to pluck the best players of all time and then putting them into like an all-star game. Essentially, that's what's happening. Like in the future, you can like either cryogenically freeze people or clone them.
Like Ted Williams.
Yeah, like Ted Williams in a jar. But like so then all of them are coming back to fight in these big robots. And we got a whole bunch of cool things like planned for that. That's like again way out down the road, but still something we want to be talking about now because we really have like a vision for this going. We're like going up on a very like awesome curve with really cool ideas and stuff that we want to release down the road. Each one is going to take a ton of work, but
it's too fun not to. Just
yeah,
keep expanding,
And there's just too many. Like the ideas like kind of keep building off each other. So it's like we already have so many cards that we need to. As soon as we can get this successful and out and the business side of this going, we'll finally get to sit down and actually work on some of our next ideas that we've been wanting to test for a while. But we owe it to the original game to like finish it and make sure it's done and out and printed before we like get caught up in the next sets of cards that are just gonna enhance it.
I'm very interested in like creating leagues as well for the original game and just because I love leagues and standings and competing with people throughout like a season. So that's gonna be
yeah. And there's so many options for that too. Like we have only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Like I mean, me and Silas could sit honestly we could sit right here for 20 hours in a row and just talk about the ways that you could do a league with the game, and we would be as happy as like schoolgirls about it, because it's like there's so many cool options that you can do in the game already. Like you want to keep stats for everything and see who does the best and see how it's all going. It's just like it is really 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 fun, and that's the thing that when people get the game and open it up, I can see that being, after you learn all the things about it, then you're going to start to be like, okay, now you get caught up, like, we'll keep caring about different characters and how good they are, and, is this character better than the other one? And
We have some characters that people hate too, like Abith, who's the current champion, hates Unico Hemingway with a passion. He's one of the starting pilots, and she hates being him, hates playing against him, and just every single time she sees his little smug face, she's just pissed off at him.
and I also don't like him
I like him.
Yeah, yeah, and the people that like him, it changes the game. He changes the game enough that it, like, I never even play him correctly, and at some point I have to try to play him like the way he's supposed to be played.
He kind of turns it into a craps game a little bit.
Yeah, he does.
He takes some of the strategy out of it, and he's like a racer. The game becomes like a 15-minute game and changes it. In for 20 hours.
You'll be drinking bourbon as we're. Yeah, well, that would be a fun live stream session. See how long Ustream will let us stream in a row, and see what happens. No, we're probably gonna close it down here in about 5 minutes, but we want to do another one of these coming up soon, and maybe collect some more questions. This is kind of like just tip of the iceberg of questions that we've been asked over the first couple of weeks with the Kickstarter, and it's pretty, time flies by when you're talking about this stuff anyways. But so if anybody, like anybody that watches this or watching, like if you have any other questions for us, just send them over to us, and we will like touch base on those upcoming videos. And also we're going to do a question and answers online. Obviously, if we succeed, which we're really hoping that we will, and we think we will, then we're going to go ahead, like as soon as that gets out and everybody gets the game, shoot us as many questions as you can. We want to keep like a really awesome question and answers about everything that pertains to the game.
Even if it's just like character questions, if it's gameplay questions, if it's story questions, if you have like any curiosity.
Yeah, because
because it's fun.
Yeah, worst case scenario, we just like love getting feedback on this stuff and hearing what people are thinking. I still have like, I love going to the demo events and just walking and hearing people like say funny things about the cards, or like make some. I just like that kind of stuff is like gold to me. That's like why probably one of the biggest thrills I can get is just having people like immersed in that world enough where they're making comments about the cards and what these characters are doing. So yeah. What time zone are you in? Are you not sure.
Oh yeah, it's 5 o'clock here, so even on the East Coast, people are just getting out of work.
Yeah, that's true.
We're in weird schedules, so
yeah, that's true.
We kind of forget about the 9 to 5 work schedule.
I know. You gotta plan things.
So yeah, we'll do another one of these. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, and we'll do another one in maybe we could do one from New York City, because that's what we didn't even talked about. Like, we're going to New York to promote the game coming up, and we're just gonna be going to all the shops and playing the game. But we could set up a computer and do a Q&A from there.
Yeah,
it'd be really easy, and we'll do it later. It's good. That makes a lot of sense. I actually have no idea why I decided to do it at 4.
Well, we wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise, really, because of the video.
It worked out this time.
It was a long time ago when that got planned out.
That's true. Forget about it.
So yeah, this was fun. Brings me back to the days when I was a radio host, which was a good time.
Yeah, this is fun. We should do these all the time just to like keep everybody up to date on stuff. We're gonna post this exact video probably on something. We'll just have it all linked up everywhere so you can see it. But if you guys want to go back and see it. But thanks so much for coming in and talking with us, and for the questions. And again, leave us more questions, and if you have anything else that you'd like us to answer, we'll definitely answer it next time. And yeah, we'll be live streaming other events too. Not
Yeah.
even so. If you get a chance to see this pop up again and us sitting there, you can always ask us questions. Even if we're playing a game, we'll chat with you at the same time, and we really appreciate it. This kind of feedback is exactly what we're trying to develop and have a community of people that get to talk with us as often as possible.
Cool.
But thanks.
All right.
All right.
PBL